Good afternoon, everyone. It is August 26th, 2021, and you are watching the Bling Sisters live interactive chat show. I'm Silver Shells,
I'm Cindy Jenkins.
and we are
The Bling Sisters.
And we are in the heart of Sonoma County right now, and Cindy and I have a great interactive show. We have spoken with and chatted with and interviewed 120 people so far. So if you'd like to see any of our past interviews, you can go to YouTube and look up the Bling Sisters. You can find us on Facebook at the Bling Sisters. Go to our community page or
The Bling Sisters Live Inc. is the best search term.
Okay, is that on the
The Bling Sisters
internet?
Live.
Okay, and then because when you go on there, you can also click and it'll take you to our Facebook
So you
page.
go to the live tab and you will see our archive shows, all of them.
So our archive shows, we have had David Aguilar, Tony Saunders, Jay David, Barry Melton, Carl Wyatt, Walter Trout, Sal Valentino from the Beau Brummels twice, Bex Marshall, Terry Hank, and Elvin Bishop, just to name a few. I mean, that's only
a few.
So
Okay.
really check it out. We have fun, lighthearted interviews, and we quite enjoy it. So like us on Facebook, look for the red light in the upper left-hand corner. If it's on, we're live. If you want to be notified when we go live, there's some kind of a notification
There's a
bell.
notification bell in a corner somewhere. Depends on your device. So look for it and click it to be notified. Go ahead and share the stream as well. That would be great.
That is right. And today we have guest number 121. He is Terry Haggerty, the owner and purveyor of Hagalicious. He is a native North Bayan. He plays guitar, bass, sings, writes his own music. He's a Buddhist guide for those nearing the end of their lives. He's a psychedelic ranger, that's what I heard, and a world-renowned marijuana seed geneticist.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And a member of the Sons of Champlin. There we go. Welcome, Terry.
Welcome. It's Terry.
And
thank you for having me.
you are welcome.
You have you've done interviews with my two favorite music people, which are Elvin Bishop and Barry Melton.
Aw.
Nice.
I think you're the most interesting people in the whole scene.
They're wonderful.
Well, I've been reading about you, Barry, and you're no slacker yourself. Terry. What did I call him?
Barry.
Barry, not Barry. I was thinking of Barry Melton, but
yeah,
no,
I know
that's
you were.
Terry.
That's
I
okay.
answered everything.
You know,
Terry's chill. He can handle it.
they rhyme. Hey, Crowbar says hi.
Oh, yeah, great.
Oh, hey, Crowbar.
Crowbar. Hi, baby. I love you. More today than yesterday. So, Terry, I was reading about you and your mom. You grew up in San Anselmo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
your mom was a Cuban a dancer with a dance troupe. And
Yeah.
I heard that you used to have these really wild parties at your house when you were real young, and your mom would have them check their drugs and weapons at the door, correct? Before they could come in and party.
I was with those that were really, the bad behaved people, but they were so interesting, and and it's when I learned a lot about drugs, because my parents would always point out things to me about, like, this guy is really an amazingly great musician, but he's a junkie. And so, because I remember asking her, I says, well, when so-and-so comes over, why do you hide all the valuable stuff? And she said, so Uncle Eddie's sick, and he's got a problem, but if we leave things out, he takes them. And, I asked her why, and she said, well, he has a drug problem. And I'd go, well, what's that? And so literally over a number of years, I met all these amazingly interesting, really compelling people that were not necessarily the best behaved, but they were such amazing musicians.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
so it
you're
was really interesting for me in that when I finally got introduced to psychedelics and marijuana, the marijuana people that my dad knew were the most fun, amazingly great people. And so
that's what
I
you
had,
said that the marijuana people were
I
the
had such a great impression of marijuana, but I'd just been really educated about like the heavier drugs. So as they showed up, I just kind of was like, nah, I kind
Not a
of,
good outcome.
well, it doesn't usually work out very
Yeah.
well. So,
Barry's here. He says hi.
Hi Barry,
Hi
hi,
from Barry
Barry.
Melton and
Jeannie,
Dava Sharian.
Jeannie. Hi. All right. And so I heard, okay, at 3 years old, you were playing your first guitar. Is that correct? You at
Yeah, I
three, or
started about three, and I couldn't do a lot on it, and
just pick at
but
it?
I figured out like the open chords that you could play, and even with my little teeny fingers, got the G chord, and and when I was 5, I played my actual first professional gig,
You
and
did on
it was
TV.
on TV. Yeah, it was called Mother Mary's Birthday Party, and that was 1951, I think.
Oh
Maybe,
my.
yeah, now 51.
Uh huh.
And I sang "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window" and a peanut sitting on a railroad track.
A peanut
Choo
sitting.
choo peanut butter, right?
Right.
Oh, oh my gosh, that's funny. So then, you got your big break. You said around 17 when you were invited to play at the Sheridan. Was it? And you were in high school at that time, right?
hmm I subbed for my dad, and my
Okay.
dad was one of the top guitarists in San Francisco. So I started, working with all the established musicians and playing cotillion balls with Del Courtney and.
That's what you said. Cotillion
Yeah,
balls.
no, it was pretty great, except, I didn't really ever want to be a professional musician. I just wasn't that impressed with being a professional anything,
Right. Right.
let alone a professional musician, because I knew so many of them. And, but it was a great way to learn how to play guitar. And then when, there in the mid 60s, when I got turned on to marijuana and then psychedelics, that was pretty much it for doing any kind of music. Was never an entertainer. Really, never had any desire to play anything that anybody liked per se.
You liked your own music, right?
I just wanted to do what I wanted to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. And so, how did the psychedelic experience did that impact your music in any way? That freeing your mind, or
Oh, it changed everything. I immediately grew my hair out and turned it way up and started, playing as loud and crazy as I could. And
shredding? Isn't shredding what we call it?
yeah, yeah.
Shredding.
Shredding. Like I know that word.
Yeah, and yeah, no, it was really, I love being in the Sons. Initially in the Sons before, Ambition and Drugs kind of took the band out. It was really a beautiful communal, experience. And my desire has always been with music was just to contribute to the group of people to succeed.
Right. Right.
Whatever that would mean, but unfortunately, I was, pretty shredding guitar player, and guitar players were, kind of the focal point for a lot of the 60s, but that really was never where my heart sat with it. I just wanted to be part of a group of people that worked with each other and helped each other out.
So you're a team member rather
Yeah.
than the standout star. You want to make cohesive And oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah,
good for
no,
you.
I,
It sounds like the Sons of Champlin, they broke up and got back together, and you always had an influx of people coming and going. Was it kind of like a starter band where people got their, some experience and then moved on?
well, the core was Bill Champlin and Tim Kaine and myself.
Right.
And gee, we'd been playing together before we could drive. Our parents would have to drive us to go to practices and
Your
play.
gigs.
And yeah, and one thing led to another, and we auditioned at the Fillmore, and Bill really liked us, and we started getting gigs, and got signed by Capitol Records, and I think we did 4 or 5 albums on Capitol, and yeah, no, it had a life of its own, just like the scene did.
Well, I think we should. We have a song that kind of reflects that point in time. I think "Blowing in the Wind."
Yeah, this is great. Katie sings really nice on it, and it was, I love Boots. I appreciated having the opportunity to put this band together, and yeah, no, it's a nice little video.
Okay,
All right.
awesome. Let's roll it.
All right.
Here we go.
We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. We want to dedicate this song to the late, great Mary Travers. Peter, Paul, and Mary. How many roads must a man walk down before they
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bling Sisters Live. I'm Silver Shells.
I'm Cindy Jenkins.
And we are
The
the
Bling
Bling Sisters. And you are watching our interactive chat show. And we have guest number 121, Terry Haggerty. And he is the owner and proprietor and geneticist for Hagalicious, which is his business. And he is in the business of growing marijuana and CBD products and stuff. I guess that's or THC. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, for the most part, I just specialize in just the herb. And I'm not too much into the extracts
Okay.
or gummies or anything like this. And this is my first year of really actually legally coming out with a product. So I have a really nice farm here in Sebastopol, and I think we've got like about 600 plants out there now.
And we were talking earlier, and you have been collecting seeds since the late 60s. I mean, every seed you came across, did you keep it pretty much?
No, not at all. I only kept things that were really amazingly good.
Okay.
And I think the thing that made me unique is I knew a lot of the really big dealers at the time, the Goldfingers and the Big Jerrys, and they're all dead now, and Deacon, but these guys were like the most amazing smugglers, and I was so one-pointed in finding the very best marijuana I could. And through my friendship with them, I just got to see, many loads of many different types of marijuana from around the world back before, the way I say it is back before the gringos got to the marijuana.
Yeah.
When it was the indigenous varieties that people would bring. And one of the first varieties that I kept was a Michoacan from Lake Chapala, and that was such amazing marijuana. It was like almost white. It had so much resin on it.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
This was seeded weed, and it was like grown like at about 8,000 feet. So a lot of UV. And the only way you could get this marijuana is you had to go into the little villages and talk to the curandera and get permission to talk to people about getting the herb. And everybody grew the same type. There was only one. Yeah. And if you were lucky, you could get, 5 pounds, maybe 10 pounds of marijuana. But marijuana was pretty easy to get back at the time. But all those varieties got pretty much lost because people were greedy and they kept on trying to grow more and more and more. And with the addition of indicas, then people crossed everything up and all the old original varieties just got lost. They got
mishmash. Yeah, Heinz 57 type of pot. So now you describe molecules in the pot, right? And you breed them out or in?
Well, they're just there.
Okay.
They're there from the ancient, evolution of the plants in the places where they are. But the structure that gets you high is basically molecular. There are molecules in there. And some plants, the really high-end things that really get you psychedelic and stuff, when plants have that, they're much more difficult to grow, and they're much more temperamental.
Okay.
So marijuana, a lot of the reasons you've never seen it, it's so hard to grow, and it produces so little that most everybody that's doing it to make money, they just don't, it doesn't produce enough, and it's too temperamental. So it's only recently that I found the right people that are willing to actually try to just not grow a lot. It's going to cost a lot more, and
To baby, yeah, you want a
this
piece of
year,
me?
Mhm.
this year we're going to see if people are willing to pay for it, because Hagalicious is just going to cost a lot more than most marijuana.
Well,
Uh,
you're already a high end. You've
mhm.
been dealing to like movie stars and people like that, supplying.
Oh yeah, that's been pretty much the clientele that I've dealt with forever. That's what's allowed it to go forward. And I hate to drop names, but
Go ahead.
like well, this is some Beatles and
Ooh.
a lot of big. It's I really can't.
No,
You can't do
that's
that.
okay.
That's
But
okay.
we heard that it could be a Beatles, so we're good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the kind of thing where everybody wants to have the best. So once the word gets out, and there's such a finite amount, it's
Right.
like I always equate my marijuana to Romani Conti. Do you know much about wine?
Wine.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
Romani Conti is the most valuable, incredible, like Pinot Noir, and you can't get it. And if you do, it's $1,200 or $1,500 a bottle
wow.
for they're just generic stuff. And yeah, it's just it's like it's a very amazing high end thing. And the funny thing with me is I I've just tried to stay true to keeping the genetics of the plants alive. I really haven't done anything. And way back when, before when the idea of being a hippie was kind of forming, the idea of being a dealer was to go out and find the highest sacrament you could to bring back to the community.
Uh-huh.
The musicians were trying to play the music for using the sacrament. And so in those early days, there was really quite an emphasis on just finding really amazing genetics. And again, I was just lucky that I knew so many, kind of international smugglers that we were very close with the Brotherhood of Eternal Light, and we
Uh,
played a lot of gigs with them down in L.A. And when they brought in all their hash, they also brought in a pound of seeds, and I was lucky enough to get a few of those seeds.
wow.
So those seeds ended up being the basis for a lot of the hybrids that I had. These really old sativas and that really, really beautiful Mazari al Sharif hash plant.
So tell
And
us
so,
go ahead.
well, now with marijuana, there's real. Most of all, your Humboldt, and right from the beginning was developed with Pakistani hash plants. And it wasn't the same as the Affy. The Affy was beautiful and sweet and just this high end thing. The Packy was just had more of a stank to it. It smelled a lot more. It just didn't have and it didn't have the same high. It didn't have that beautiful high altitude high. So now, because I've judged a few of the cannabis cups and stuff, there's most all the marijuana has Pakistani hash plant in it somewhere, and in my mind, it's kind of a nasty smell taste. I don't like it too much,
Mm-hmm.
and only occasionally would you come across varieties that have been bred with the more thoroughbred like varieties. So
Nice. So
What
you
about what about
what about
what about Hagalicious?
what about Hagalicious?
well, a friend of mine has always called it Hagalicious.
Hagalicious, okay.
And so when I was thinking about a business name, it was like, well, let's just stick it right out there, Agalicious. That's what it is. And again, it's received really well. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I have a really very good distributor who distributes marijuana just all through the country, who's very interested in representing me. And So yeah, we're mid-process. It's like right now, if the crop doesn't come out to my standard, what I consider Hagalicious to be, then it'll just get folded into some product that'll get sold to the clubs for cheap.
Yeah.
And if it turns out, because I'm not growing it this year, it's like I don't have the license to grow it. I have the license to consult and do everything else and to be part of the ownership of it. But that really large scale growing, I don't know how to do very well. And so I'm kind of curious to see how the grower's going to do. So far, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But there's a 20% chance that it won't rise to the standards that I want, and we'll just crash this year because I'm not going to try to make money off of it. It's a spiritual thing.
Right. Right.
And I just can't do it to make money. I've never done that with marijuana to make money. I mean, I've almost gotten in a lot of trouble for trying to make money with it. So,
So you might as well, yeah.
when I was doing that, eventually, all the wealth that I had put away doing that, it cost me just that amount in lawyers' fees
to get out of it.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a wash.
It was a real lesson. It was a real lesson. Like, that's not what I'm doing. That's not my intent. I got enticed by the scene and by the money of it, but it wasn't staying true to the vision that I had about it. So
right.
I feel very lucky that I made it through that phase, and I'm back to just as pure genetics as I can.
Excellent. Well, Cindy, do you?
Well, I think we have another video in the open, a Freddie King song by Terry. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about that before we roll it?
Freddie King was every guitar player's idol back in the early 60s. We were still in high school, and we just all tried to copy Freddie King because he was so compelling, And, there's a few really great blues players that we listened to at the time, but Freddie King just had this quality of tunes that were so fun. And they were all instrumentals. He sang, but he put out this one album called Freddie King Live, and they were all instrumentals. And every one of them was just a winner. And In the Open was kind of like the most raw, primitive of all of them. So I always like playing it just because I just shred, and it's pretty tasteless. It's kind of self-absorbed, but I really enjoy it.
Why not?
Okay, well, let me interject before we roll the video that Crowbar is smoking Terry's Volcano as we speak.
Excellent.
As we speak.
As we speak. Yeah,
okay, so now we're going to roll them. This
is
for you.
awful early in the evening for Crowbar to be smoking.
It is,
I know.
Isn't it?
Never
out of
until like
character.
9. I know.
Okay.
Well, this is
It's
a
for you,
special
Terry.
day.
I think
it's
it's
all
for you.
about you.
Right? Here we go.
Okay.
In the open.
are back. Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, August 26th, and you are watching the Bling Sisters live.
Live.
I'm Silver Shells.
I'm Cindy Jenkins.
and
We are the Bling Sisters.
Yeah, that was kind of obvious, huh? I think it was
Yeah.
kind of. Anyway, we are interviewing our 121st person, Terry Haggerty, and we were talking about his past. We've talked about his past. We've talked about his
His cultivation.
cultivation, Hagalicious. And so now, Terry, we're going to talk about what is up in the future for you. What do you see your music? Where do you see your music going and your Hagalicious?
Well, with music, I actually I'm kind of excited because in the context of Hagalicious and the PR of Hagalicious, it's really tied into me being a musician all through the 60s and before. And so it was my relationship with marijuana, before hippiedom even. And it looks like there's going to be one really nice CD before I get too old, and really call in a lot of my old friends. And then Katie, with her friends, the women that were singing on the Blowing in the Wind, I've written a whole bunch of really neat, fun dance tunes that are just really, like not musician tunes. They're just funky dance tunes, great, trippy things. So we're going to put together probably a 4-piece with 3 or 4 women singers.
Nice.
And rather than having one lead singer, I'm going to have all of them singing the tunes, and they can alternate between who sings leads and the harmonies. But I want to do something that everybody really enjoys and wants to dance to. And I've been an instrumentalist and a fusion guitar player for so long. I think in the future, I just really want to see people have a lot of fun. And I can do my theoretical blasting inside of the funky thing, and it won't be too much. But that's the goal now. And with Hagalicious, the goal is to end up having enough funding where I can have like a really, really good lab and really go deeply into my genetics, because I'm pretty sure there's very few people, if anybody, on the planet that has the level of genetics that
you
I
do.
have.
Yeah. I mean, you've been working on it for years.
Yeah, no, I've got over 50 years of growing it. It's funny because I meet a lot of these really great growers and they do really well. And I point out to them that, you weren't even alive when I started growing it, and I might have been growing it twice as long as you've been alive. And you're really great at what you know, but you only know what you know because you haven't been around that long. So
Right.
I think I feel, and I know there's a lot of hubris in it, but I really feel like the genetics that I have are the future of marijuana, and they will eventually be the thing that saves the generic marijuana and really brings about really conscious raising, psychedelic, turn on, tune in, drop out kind of marijuana. And underlying all of it, my biggest dream has always been just to keep these genetics alive, to reintroduce them back to the world when the world's really ready for that. And I do see a lot of alignment with psychedelics and medicine. And
Yeah. That's
so I think we're ready for a real opening, another conscious opening with marijuana being a real principal part of it. Like when, the way I was raised with LSD was that basically you got high and you had your insights into it, and then you couldn't take acid every day, even though I tried for a lot of times. But basically, if you had really great marijuana that really got you high, then you could revisit that psychedelic place and keep that alive and try to integrate that ethos into your life.
Right.
So that's how I see the marijuana, and that's what I really want to do with it. And I've never cared about money. I've never ever had a bone in my body that really wanted to make a lot of money, and I'm happy to give it all away if it goes to the right place. The only thing I don't want is for somebody to come in and make $1 gazillion off of, 50 some years of
Right.
my work.
Work.
Right.
I'd like to be the one that made it public domain rather than it being stolen. And
Right.
I've talked to enough people in Silicon Valley and big business people about it, where always the underlining thing, it's not if people steal your stuff, it's when they steal it.
Yeah.
At some point, it's such a big idea, everybody's on it and has to have it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to kind of ride this wave into the future and see how it goes,
So, have you written any songs about your marijuana strains? Have you named any songs?
Yeah, not about the marijuana strains per se. I've written a lot of songs about getting high and psychedelic insights.
Well, speaking of songs,
And
this isn't really a
psychedelic?
song.
It's
Going
not.
out.
Is it
I think we should talk about going out.
going out.
Yeah.
Okay, it's that
It's
time.
It's that time.
Boy,
It's
it just time
6:45.
flies
Time
by.
flies. Sure does.
So, Terry, do you have any words that you'd like to words of wisdom to impart to the our listeners, our watchers,
Well, I guess that would be thanks so much for being part of a really great community. Thanks for including me. I mean, my heroes are people like Crowbar. I mean, God, Crowbar has been around for so long. I mean, he's so the salt of the earth and the most high-minded, excellent human,
Yeah.
And on the
I agree.
on the backs of all these great people go I. The one thing about me is like I'm just that much younger than the first wave of the psychedelic musicians, and so there was this whole epiphany that happened for them that we kind of rode on their coattails, and even though it was still the 60s, that first transition from the beats and to the hippies and stuff, the wavy gravies of the world and stuff, I mean, just thanks for being there. Thanks for being you. Thanks for staying true to your initial vision, because the world needs it, and it's I appreciate it.
Right. Let's go out with some Terry Haggerty
All
blues.
right. Thanks, Terry. And next week, we have Mitch Woods.
Mitch Woods, and yeah.
I love Mitch. Right.
Yeah. So he's going to be on Thursday at 6 p.m. next
6
Thursday.
p.m. Yeah, look forward.
Yeah,
I tell
so-
you, if I had a tenth of the self-promotion Mitch Woods has, I'd be the king of the world.
You would be.
He's the king of the world.
All right. Bye, Bree.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Celia. Bye, Ruben. Thanks for coming in.
Susan.
Yeah, everybody,
right.
thank you. We love
My
you.
beloved family. I love you guys.
Okay, good night.
Okay.
Terry
Bye,
Haggerty
everybody.
Blues going out.
Yay.